Hey guys, so today it's taking me quite a bit of encouragement to get in front of the camera today. It's better for me to do this kind of thing when I don't have a lot of activity around. It's basically just me and my dog, especially with the conversation that wants to happen today. And it's not like a big deal. Like this topic isn't a really big deal. But I do have, honestly, a chip on my shoulder about it, just because when I did start getting into this, specifically with Paul, there were a lot of adoring, lovely people who contacted me and wanted to know if, he was a twin flame of theirs. And, when he said no, he wasn't, some of these people did not take it too well. And to be honest, I was at the center of some pretty hateful reactions about that, and that's why, like, it's not a big deal to talk about it, to have a conversation about it, but that is where my issues and fears and little bits of resentment have come into play. So Paul's getting himself comfortable, and he's allowing me to get that off my chest. And if you have followed me for a while, you know that I'm very honest, and I'm very truthful, and I don't really, I'm not good at sugarcoating things, but because we have decided to move the channels onto YouTube, I'm still learning how to be, really transparent, and this is me at face value. I've had a lot of uncomfortable moments trying to, get over. And it's not about reconciling myself with the label of twin flame. It's really about getting over all of the stuff that's happened with others towards me in regards to not getting the information that they wanted, from Paul not being a twin flame, or Chris not being a twin flame, whoever you're talking about. those names just popped up because I was seeing Chris today, and he wanted to support me through this video, and of course Paul's here and he's getting himself comfortable, and he's saying part of the reason why he doesn't really want, like, he's saying he used to tread lightly over this because he does understand how important it is for people to know this aspect of themselves, and so he's saying he did tread lightly with it at first, but he's saying if people are really going to press the issue on something that they desire but they're really not ready for, he's going to go into a mode of protection. And so when the questions come up about, the twin flame energy, he automatically gets into this protective mode. He says the one reason that he could explain why he's saying Kim has a chip on her shoulder about it, and why I get so responsive to it, is because the term has been disrespected. And he says my stance on that has not changed since, the years prior, where people have tried to connect with him under false pretense, hoping that their desires would be fulfilled, and the twin flame energy, holy fuck, he's saying twin flame energy has been prostituted to be some sort of fantasy, romantic delusion, when really, he says, I get so uptight about it, because when really it is the hardest partnership, it is the hardest companionship, it is the hardest exchange of love that there is for a human being. He says, part of the reason twin flames connect, he says, go back to the beginning of why twin flames connect. He's saying it's because he's saying that karma has to be balanced. Lifetimes of hurt or chaos or... Okay, so he's showing me like a fire has completely obliterated a town. This fire was the twin flame union in these lifetimes. And he's saying, while the initial connection is the passion and the love and the sex and the... he says, because more times than not, it is with the male and female aspects, the divine feminine masculine, and he says it's hot stuff. But that combustion is enough to burn down any sort of base, he's saying, that was built. And it can burn down really quickly, like really fast. So the outcome or the result of that passion that wasn't used appropriately, injured and scarred and burnt down and left skeletal remnants of what was. And he's saying, he's putting out the question to people who are thinking about getting into this. Are you able to forgive yourself or the other party? Forgive that amount of destruction that has happened, that, continues to thrive in the human, right? Okay, so he's saying, picture the parties involved as a big old fireplace. And, he's saying a big fireplace that hasn't had... This is a really intense conversation for me, so it might take me a little bit, I might need to pause it and take a step back and regroup, because this is really intense for me. So picture the fireplace of the two people. They've built a fire, they've made a fire in this fireplace, and now all that's left is burning embers, burnt wood, the fragments of that passion. And that was one life, right? That maybe they connected, or the spiritual aspects of them. And they never cleaned out that fireplace. And they kept building fires the next time they, came together. He's saying they continued to build fires. They never cleaned out the fireplace after that life. They built fires, higher fires. They never cleaned out the debris from that life. So that fireplace still contains the whole history of the passion, the love, but also the codependencies, the jealousies, the hurt, the intensity that, when not used appropriately, that intensity caused pain rather than uplifted, right? So that whole fireplace, he's saying, contains all of that. And then you go on to another life, and then you go on to another life. But nobody's cleaning out the ashes of what was. That is the twin flame stuff that people are carrying with them. So he's saying, are you, as a person who is deciding to go on a twin flame journey, are you ready to sift through the soot, to sift through the charcoal, to sift through the black, to see the remnants of what has been destroyed by either you or the other party? And are you ready to forgive and love all of that regardless? You know, he says, because there's been some pretty shitty deals made there between twin flames. There have been some pretty hurtful, abusive war games formed from twin flames. So he's like, no matter how much of that happened, are you ready with that twin flame union? Are you ready to go sift through that so you don't have to clean that out, so you don't have to carry that into another lifetime, to be able together to become one phoenix out of that, right? And to take your flames of passion, of love, of source, of the central sun, of universes, of galaxies, and take it to source as the union, because you have sifted through all of that, taken the gems out of that, brought it back to source where you were created, right? He's saying that's how intense these twin flame unions are. People tend to hold on to the romantic ideals, the passion, the sex, the lust, to try to take that. And because that's the only part that they're trying to reconnect to or connect to, they're missing all of that other stuff that they're still carrying. And again, another fire is burnt. Flames, 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 flames. And then, you know, somebody adds, he's saying somebody adds gunpowder, somebody adds gasoline, somebody adds that last straw on the camel's back, and it explodes. And there's chaos, and there's hurt, and there's falling down to your knees, and there's being burnt so badly that the scars on your body, the emotional scars on your body, are everlasting and will never go away. He's like, no matter how many plastic surgeons you see, those scars will never go away. Like, are you ready for it? That is the name of the game. So he's like, if you're connected to that, you know, the heat aspect, the passion aspect, you're going to hit, you know, a ceiling. He's like, I said, when my answer to the email, you're going to hit like a glass ceiling. Because nobody wants to see, both parties don't want to see the bad stuff, the hurtful stuff, the stuff that is like, okay, why are we coming again together in this life to create such chaos for each other? Why is this happening again? So he says the question, and he says he said this to people, the question that you need to ask your twin flame love is, what are you not showing me? And would you like me to show you what I'm not showing you? Because by doing that, you get to the truth of why you're connecting. Uncover all that ugly charcoal so you can clean it up. See the remains of, you know, Nagasaki and Hiroshima that the nuke just dropped on. See the remnants of that. See the purpose. Forgive it. The product of it. Forgive it. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. To be able to come away from that, break through that glass ceiling, and go the rest of the way. Because the only way that's going to happen is to take the intensity, and he's having trouble. Take that intensity and, you know, bring it down into a way that you can actually use it He's like, for soul enlightenment is what he's saying. Okay, so he's saying, think of a flame in a candle. The twin flame idea, or the twin flame definition, is only the heat outside of that candle. So right now it's burning like orange or red, right? He's like, but the deeper you go into the flame, where it's going to turn like, so it's like red and orange and yellow and white, the deeper you get into that flame, the more intense, the more work you do with that twin flame, because it is one flame separated, so you're coming together, building a bigger flame, you're going to get to the actual hot blue flame. That's what the twin flame energy is meant to be, is that blue flame energy, the blue love energy, which is on par with, he's showing me the realms of Archangel Michael. He's showing me the realms of the Christ. He's showing me the realms, Christ and Mary Magdalene, the masters. Okay, because he's saying what's happening is that instead of becoming masters of the twin flame to burn, at such a deeper intensity where the masters burn, sorry, there's glare from my window. You're being a slave to the very surface level idea of twin. You're being a slave to that concept. And the whole idea is to take the twin concept, the outer ring of that flame that you're seeing, and to really get down into the intensity of it and use the intensity to get into the blue flame to become a master of your realm, of your soul realm. He's showing me two souls coming together as a king and queen. They have two different realms because they have been living separately, because the flame has been split. But once they come together and they get through all the wars and they get through all the muck and they come together, and it's like that smoldering intensity that gets down to the blue flame, that's like two souls coming into one as the higher self of both, and that is touching the face of God. He's saying it is so intense, but the purpose of that has been lost because everybody, instead of being masters, and having those sparks of that twin flame explosion spreading to other people as, love, they become slaves to the idea of something that's going to keep them just really in a one-way form. Okay, and he's like, it's only since I died that he says, I was pretty shocked into realizing my twin flame connection. He's saying that it was really surprising for him, and it was really shocking for him, even from heaven, and he spiraled. And he's saying that Simon was actually the one that had to come and grab him and bring him back, because he was really worried and really scared about what would happen when both parties knew of that connection. And he said that the potential of that connection would have been destroyed if it wasn't taken little by little, bit by bit, and really shown compassion to each party so they could grow from that, instead of, he's saying, both parties deciding to turn and walk away from each other because of the intensity of that connection, and the intensity, he's saying, of the misunderstanding and the misunderstanding and the really, he's saying, disdain for the actual human term, because the human term did not make any sense to both individuals, him and the twin flame, and so it left a really bitter taste in the mouth. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to try to get rid of this glare from my window. I'll be right back. Okay, so I actually just had to take off my glasses because no matter what happened, I couldn't get rid of that glare. So I might be blinking a lot because my eyes tend to get tired when I do these. And he's a little bit laughing because sometimes like the sun in my house like comes in all directions, and so it's been really difficult for me to find like a decent recording place where I don't get a lot of glare, but that fall sun is low and it's beautiful, and it really shines as a spotlight. So he's okay. You go back to the twin flame journey. So his personal twin flame journey, while it was a little bit easier because he was, a spirit and this person was on earth, but they could connect. It wasn't easy in the way that there wasn't that fear there, that even though he said he had this higher knowledge of it, that the other person wouldn't just get up and bolt. And at that point, they had been connected, and it would have been a real huge tragedy if the other person just couldn't take it and they decided to bolt. And he's saying that he feels very, very thankful and blessed that they didn't bolt, and that they are still connected in really valuable ways. So he's saying while he understands the intention of the beginnings of starting a twin flame union, he says the intention of that generally burns out, he says, real quick when the actuality of it drops into the person's lap. Because he's saying that the actuality of what the twin flame connection is will drop into the lap. It won't just sneak up on people. It will be, he's saying, and the drop in the lap usually is felt like a fallout. He's saying very much so like an emotional fallout from a nuclear blast. And unfortunately, regardless if the twin flame connection is two human beings on earth, or one spirit and one human being, he says, no, he says he's changing his mind. He doesn't want to say that. He's like, fortunately, he'd like to put a positive spin on it. He's like, fortunately, the result of people that want to maintain that relationship is for a really, really huge purpose. He's saying that the Mother Earth, he's saying that the twin flame union of Mary Magdalene and Jesus was for that point and that point in history, because the world needed that intensity of love and healing on her so that she could take that energy, take it the rest of the way, like that baton race that he's always talking about, and heal that aspect of her. And so the intensity of that one union on earth is probably, he's saying, equal to the intensity. He's saying 1,000 twin flame couples on this planet now. So for one Jesus and Mary Magdalene, he's saying, it would take 1,000 twin flame unions on Earth to have that effect on Earth now. And he's saying that that's why people find themselves in these twin flame reunions in their lifetime now, is because there's a need for multiple number of these intense energies to bring about corrective change and corrective love that Mother Earth needs right now, he's saying, to patch it all together. Because what's happening, he's saying, is there's like a shell, an energetic shell encrusted on Mother Earth, and it's breaking away and it's falling away. And what these twin flame unions are doing is that it's like that angelic energy that will hold that newness of Mother Earth together, so it doesn't all crumble. Because the pieces that crumble away from anybody when they're doing spiritual evolution are still attached. Okay, so he's saying if you gently crack an egg and you peel away that shell, but there's still that membrane in that shell is connected. It's like it's very connected. And so what the energy of the twin flame unions does is to hold that membrane in place while the pieces of the shell fall away. Because the shell of anybody that has formed around them has been built on protection and not being vulnerable. And so if you're in a twin flame reunion or union, and you've gotten past the difficulties, you've seen the destruction, you've seen the horrible bits and pieces, you've seen the nuclear fallout, and you've been able to come back together and say, you know, we fucked up, can we just try this and take what we learned and do this again? That's going to hold that gentle vulnerability membrane together so that doesn't break. And, you know, as above, so below. So as the outer shell or the hard shell of the twin flame kind of just breaks away, that membrane, I mean, it's very delicate, right? And so if they've done the work and they let all that fall away while keeping the good membrane to hold it all together, that is the healthy twin flame union. So and to take that vulnerability and to hold it together in complete love and adoration and understanding, you'll be, you know, also breaking through that glass ceiling, right? Because that's just another bit of that eggshell. You'll be breaking through that, and you'll be able to take that light of both the divine masculine and divine feminine in a conjoined union and take it to source. Because what happens is that now source energy can use that and create from that, and that he's saying that is the expansion of heaven. That is huge. To take a twin flame energy, break that glass ceiling, get into the intensity of it, connect with the blue flame, which then goes back to source to expand heaven. Because heaven is always expanding. Heaven is always expanding on the experiences of all souls, of all spirits involved. But it's not like a solo one-on-one. He's like, yeah, part of it is, for sure, part of it is that solo experience, because not everybody is going to join with the twin flame. But the expansion of anything is built on the union of the two parts, right? Of the divine feminine, the divine masculine, because nothing can be created without the component of the divine feminine, the divine masculine. And that will expand, grow, generate new, untouched potential of the whole, right? And when he's saying, and when source creator expands and becomes more, a bigger whole, that is automatically shared with all sentient beings of any and all universes. So he's saying, if you can take into consideration that, that is understanding the twin flame union. And he's saying, I can understand why Kim has such a hard time with talking about it, because she understands the ginormity, he's saying, the enormity of that sacredness, the intensity, and to have, anybody disregard that as frivolous, he's saying, as something to just be toyed with. For people who actually get it, he's saying, for the people who actually get it, he's saying, and I'm going to speak for myself right now, is disrespectful. He's saying it's disrespectful even to God, to take those storylines and make drama and soap opera out of it and use it as an excuse for abuse. He's saying drama, soap opera. He's like a good example of twin flame drama is actually the telenovelas in South America. He's saying that is a huge example of what a twin flame relationship usually ends up being, he's saying. And he's saying, I feel how difficult it is for Kim to channel this information. He's saying, I understand the worry about the fallout. He's saying, but if people begin to honestly have like a really heart-to-heart conversation about the actuality of a twin flame union reunion, he said those dialogues are protected by, he's saying, the protector of the blue flame, which is Archangel Michael. And he's saying Archangel Michael is not an angel to fuck around with. He's saying because of the holiness, the sacredness of what this is. He's saying Archangel Michael is not an angel to fuck around with in regards to playing with the twin flame idea and abusing that, because if it is abused, he's saying that it will be taken away as fast as it was given. He says, you have to remember what I said. There's a lot of twin flame unions going on here. He's saying, regardless if it's human to human or spirit to human, there's a lot of unions going on here. But the director of that, he's saying, has no bullshit attitude and won't put up with the drama around that. He's saying, because if you consider again what I said, he's saying about Jesus and Mary Magdalene needing 1,000, twin flame unions to even match the intensity of theirs. He's saying that's not a fire that needs to be played with. He's like, people play with fire all the time. He's saying, what happens? He's saying there's forest fires that come out of control. And he's saying, especially, in Australia, he's seen it. And he's seen it in Canada. He's saying in the mountains. He's seen it in California. All these man-made fuck-up fires that people have started, and they burned down towns. That's the emotional and energetic fallout of misuse, playing around with fire, and getting burned. So while he is supportive of any and all twin flame unions. He's saying he gives his full support to that journey, and he has his arms wrapped around all of those couples. But he's saying the minute he senses something's off, he calls for backup, and that is the angelic realms of Archangel Michael and Archangel Nathaniel. And he steps away, and then those angelic realms swoop in and try to heal it and put it back together, or they make it so it separates and they will have to try again in another lifetime. Yeah, so he's like, can you see why he's like, it's so important for me to discuss this? And he's like, he apologizes to me because he's putting me in a position that I don't exactly enjoy. He's saying, but the evolution of the definition of twin flame, or the understanding, the deeper understanding and knowledge of the twin flame union, will always grow as the collective grows. So the fact that there are more twin flame unions happening now, he's saying the more that definition is going to come up, and because he is somebody who takes care of those unions, the more that definition comes up, the more he's got to travel around and see why, and then he's got to have another conversation about it, regardless if I am willing to do that or not. He's saying, he's like, Kim was mad, and I was mad. We had a conversation yesterday, and I was friggin' fuming. I was so mad that this had to come up again, because I feel like no matter how many times this comes up, it's completely ignored and nobody cares. So he's like River, he's saying Kim holds a lot of emotion and a lot of intensity in, and when that happens, she gets really red, and you can actually feel the heat of temper coming off of her body, he says, because it is so intense, and it's a simmering volcano, and he said that sometimes it does explode. He says, if there has been one person, and if you know me, he's like, I'm a pretty chill guy, but he's like, if there is one person that has ever made me raise my voice and yell, and he's like, lose control of my temper, he says, you're looking at her right now, she's channeling my words, it's Kim. So he's like, we gotta partner up and take care of the behind the scenes before Kim gets in front of a camera and actually channels me. He's like, regardless of what you believe, regardless of what you believe of Kim, regardless of what you believe of me, he says, I will always, always, always channel information about the twin flame, because it is always, always, always important to get people to relook at why they want those unions. What's it for? What are you not showing me? What do I need to know? What ashes do I have to crawl through to get to the other side? What fireplaces do we have to clean up? What cities do we have to clean up because we've dropped nuke bombs on them? You know, what have you done to my heart, and what have I done to your heart that we've been carrying for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes, and now it's do or die, he's saying. He's like, it's do or die, it's ride or die, is what he's saying. Okay, I give it to anybody who is even dipping their toe in the lava of a twin flame union. He's like, because it's no longer water that we're talking about, it's lava. So he really gives it to people who are dipping their toe in the lava, connecting with the fire of their soul so that lava doesn't burn as much, he's saying. Because if you're talking about going with the flow and dipping your toe in water, that's real emotion. Now you're talking about intense energy, and that's the form of lava. So to be able to dive into the lake of lava to get to the blue flame, you're going to have to really connect with your soul space and not just the heart space. He's saying, but sometimes people keep the heart and the soul space really separate, and so it's hard to merge those. and sometimes with the blue flame, because it is lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. It's going to take a hard look into the soul, the Akash, past life healing, to be able to dive into the center of the lake of the lava to find the blue flame in the form of that, beautiful crystal that you can, bring up, take to source, and be the part of that expansion of the whole of heaven. Okay, he's saying that there's not much else that he can say about it. Unless there's personal questions, he'd be happy to answer them. Okay, and he's like, all I'm really asking for is respect of the process. All he's really asking for is to ask the tough stuff. All he's asking for, and he's saying, well, maybe I'm asking for a lot, but he's saying all he asks for is to respect the sacredness of what the intention of Source Creator is and was through any lifetimes. Okay, so he's saying if you are into the healing work, if you are into going through the shadow work, if you are into using, he's like, let's say you feel like your flame has completely died out, there's just like a flicker or something. If you're willing to use that tiniest piece of ash, that tiniest spark, that tiniest flicker of light within you to light a torch, even though you have to just crawl through ash and debris because a volcano just, went off, but you're not going to give up. He says, you got it. He says that's the name of the game. That's the proper intention and use of the twin flame union. He says, sex is great. Passion is great. Love is great. He's like, I love love. He's like, I love passion. He's like, I love sex. But that's not the end all and be all of it. And sometimes, the kiss and make up, it's just not going to cut it here. No matter how many kisses he kissed his twin flame, it's just, some days it's just not enough. He's also saying that if there, the twin flame union, there will be times of separation, because the flames of each fire, sometimes one side takes the flames of the other side, leaving the other flames a little bit, low to coals. And so sometimes there has to be a separation in any life so that the fire can be rebuilt on one side before it goes out completely, and the other one can pour some water on it so it kind of, calm the fuck down, right? It just because it needs to be in constant balance. If one side, he's saying, if one side did this and one side did that, and this side is reacting like this, and this side is like scared of the reaction, then there's got to be a separation. So if you do decide to come back together, there's more of a balanced flame, he's saying. Because the divine masculine and the divine feminine is always in a state of balance. There's never one higher than the other. And he's saying the more twin flame connections that are done in this lifetime that will take it the rest of the way, the more that divine feminine and divine masculine will be in balance on the planet Earth. He's saying because Earth doesn't just contain, more divine masculine, more divine feminine. That's the human aspect. That's, men and women, right? He's saying, regardless if you're a man or a woman, regardless if you're higher in the divine feminine aspect and lower on the divine masculine, whatever, he's saying there always has to be some sort of balance. And the person who maintains, or the being that maintains that balance, is Archangel Michael. And if he needs to come in, Archangel Nathaniel. And they will keep that balance. Because in the world today, even though you see like the chaos and stuff, there is still that precarious balance of the divine feminine and divine masculine. What you're seeing is the chaos of the male and female human aspects. He's saying that haven't fully haven't fully connected with those divine feminine, divine masculine aspects. And that's why you see such chaos, because it's the imbalance within the human and not so much the imbalance of the collective. He's saying the collective is really balanced. So because the collective is really balanced and it's more of a balancing within the human, that's why there's so many twin flame reunion and unions, to try to bring those aspects into balance, so that then it goes to the collective, then it goes to Mother Earth, then it goes to the heavens, right? So there is like a growing effect to that, not a trickle down effect, but like a growing and expansion effect to that. So he's saying, like, can you see how important all of this stuff is? It's not just about the one relationship. It's about this relationship, this relationship, this relationship, this relationship that feeds these relationships, that makes it okay for these relationships. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 twin flame relationships equaling Jesus, Mary, expanding heaven, going to Source Creator, giving it more to work with, to create more, to create brand new, to create, potential. Because the twin flame unions becoming blue flame, touching Source, creates like that never-ending potential. If all that went away, there would be no more potential, or God wouldn't really have much to work with. But that's just like the earthly aspect, because he's like, there's a lot of planets that have already figured this out, and so they feed. There's a lot of light streams, not just moving away from Source, he's showing me, but there's a lot of energetic streams moving towards Source, because it's a give and take. It's always like a give and take, right? So yeah, he's saying like there's not much more that I can offer you on this. He's thanking me for talking on it. He's saying the reason why Kim can channel me so fast is because we have come to a point where we're like really simpatico. He's like, with any good relationship, somebody starts a sentence and the other can finish. So it's very that way, because he's saying that he can see already questions coming up about why Kim can channel him so fast. And it's not that he has to explain himself, it's just that he saw a question that came up and he wanted to answer it right away. So that's what he did. Okay, so he says he's done. He's got some stuff to do back home, so he's going to leave me. And I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions for Paul, shoot me an email, and he, like, it's our email, so he checks that and he will answer them. I will channel a message if I... okay, he says if he feels it's appropriate to channel, then he'll channel. But sometimes there are messages that come in that, they're just like bully, bully, bully. I need this, I need that, I want this, I want that. And he, although he has tried to answer those, it's come back to bite him in the ass. And he says he doesn't give energy to that anymore. So a little tough love today from Paul. A little, fear and hesitation from Kim. But we got it done. And I have some stuff to do today. I'm going to go do some heart-opening yoga to help my back. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea about why I'm so, I just don't like to talk about it. I actually really hate it, to be fair. Like, to be honest, I really hate it. It's not something that I like to do, but I'm willing to put it out there, and whatever nuclear fallout happens, I've already called in Archangel Michael and Archangel Nathaniel to help me out with that, and they are more than happy to do that. So, yeah, with that, I will let you go. Thank you for tuning in, if it resonates with you. And I'm going to try to pick a date for another intuitive Q&A session come October. But that's all the news from me. So with that, I love you, I love you, I love you. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and I will chat at you soon. Bye for now.